we go hard.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Brooklyn Show. I am your host, Jonathan Tager, and I would like to welcome our guest this week, Mr. Joseph Spinelli. We just said Joseph. This is take two, but we had it's Joe Spinelli. I call him Joey.
You can call me Joey. Yeah.
Call it Joey.
Yeah.
You're a Joey. You look like a Joey. You feel like a Joey.
I can be a Joey.
So Joe's a mortgage broker, local mortgage broker. I promise we're not going to bore you with rates and all that other stuff the whole time, right? Because it's boring. The numbers.
Boring. It's important, but boring. Sure.
It's important but boring.
Yes.
It's important but boring. As we sit outside and enjoy our lovely beers on this beautiful fall day, we are in front of Diner, which is a local establishment. It's been here a very long time in the Williamsburg area. Actually, about 18 years ago, when I moved to Williamsburg, this place was still here. So this is one of the few restaurants, local establishments, if you will, that have been here for a pretty long time. But enough of that. Let's talk to Joe. How long have you been a mortgage broker?
A better part of 20 years, you know.
20 years, so 20 years.
Pretty close to 20 years.
So most of your professional career.
Yeah, I've always been in finance my whole adult life.
So talk to me. So, you know, I know there's always changes going on in the mortgage business and the mortgage with the rates and with what banks are and aren't doing. What would you say is, you know, most recently, what is the biggest change that will affect most of our viewers?
Okay, I mean, I'd say, you know, as far as rates go, you know, there's a lot of technical reasons why rates change or why they don't. And the funniest part about rates, and a lot of people don't realize, emotion drives the markets as much or more than do any technical data.
When you say emotion, what do you mean? Like, whose emotion?
Like, for example, you know, you see the Fed raises rates, which you would think theoretically is automatically going to affect mortgage rates. And whenever the Fed raises rates, I get so many calls from people who were kind of on the fence prior, and they feel like, man, now's my chance, I'm going to miss it. And then what always happens, at least in the last few times when rates were raised, mortgage rates actually went down because there were other factors, other things happening in the world that weighed more than the fact that the Fed raised the Fed funds rate.
Now let's talk about. I talk about this all the time, and I'll let you explain it. Why should I use a mortgage broker as opposed to a mortgage banker?
Well,
what are the benefits?
I'm actually a banker, to tell you the truth.
Oh, you are a mortgage banker.
But I'm not gonna get mad at you for that. But no, here's the difference. And actually, a broker's not a bad thing. There's three ways you do it. You know, you have the big banks, which are full service banks, checking, savings, 401ks. You can roll over. You know, all that kind of stuff. They're not mortgage specialists by any means. Now, I'm not saying there's not good guys and gals who work at those big banks who don't know what they're doing. I mean, of course, some of them do. But then you have a small bank like me where, you know, we don't do checking and savings. We just do mortgages. That's all we've ever done. So I would say, you know, and I like to call it, we're mortgage purists. That's all we do, you know. And then you have mortgage brokers who are not a lender at all, but are able to place loans where it makes the most sense for whatever the client's goals are. And that's also a good thing. If you know, a good mortgage broker is as good as any mortgage banker. I mean, definitely. If you know how to place things, you can definitely take care of a client. You know.
So let's talk about. Let's say you got people, because a lot of people think that they're not in a position to buy a property, but in essence, they actually absolutely are, and they don't understand the benefits and so forth. But they actually can afford to buy a property. They just don't know it. So,
funny,
you know, talk to those people that are watching, or who will be watching, because it's the web, right?
Sure.
So talk to them and like, okay, here's a guy, I've got $25,000 saved up, okay? I make, I don't know, $100,000 a year. How do I buy that $500,000 studio?
Yeah. It's a good question, like you said. And it's a funny question because, you know, it works both ways. A lot of times you get people calling you who think they know it all, who expect and assume that they're qualified for something and they're not at all.
They're not, yeah.
And then, you know, on the flip side, like what you're asking, You have people think they're not qualified. Well, in fact, they are. You know, and it's a simple thing. When I say to everybody, it's the same thing. I've been saying it my whole life. You know, here's the deal: how much you're paying in rent? They tell me the number, and I say, here's a list of things. I ask a few questions, get a feel for their goal. And I just simply ask them, I need these things, you give me these things, and in 20 minutes I will tell you what you qualify for. Yeah. And you may be pleasantly surprised.
So here I am. I'm a single guy. I'm 30 years old in New York City. Okay? I'm 30 years old. I'm in New York City. I've got 25 grand in the bank, and I'm making 100K. What can I qualify for?
All right, in that exact example, there's loans now where, you know, very high LTV loans. The most common high LTV
loan to value.
Excuse me, LTV meaning loan to value. In other words, how small a percentage I can put down to get that property. You know, traditionally have your FHA loan where the minimum down payment is only 3.5%. And then
you still doing those?
Yeah, huge, yeah, big time. Been around for a long time. But now, you know, there are conventional loans also where you can put 3% down.
Okay.
You know, so it's not just FHA. There's some more options.
What's the largest loan amount you can get with 3% down?
Well, the loan amounts are based on the loan limits, where Fannie Mae, which Fannie Mae means conventional. It's the same thing. It is an interchangeable term, really. Fannie Mae and FHA have the same loan limits, so they vary among units. Like on your one family, you have a certain loan limit, okay, where you can borrow. It goes up on a 2-family, goes up on a 3, goes up on a 4. But what I would do, like if you give me a number, say, hey, and that's a question any good mortgage person would ask up front, how liquid are you, or can you get a gift?
And I guess the next question I'll ask you is, all right, I'm 25 years old, or maybe I'm 30 years old, and I want to be prepared to buy something next year. What do you recommend for me to do in this next year to be ready to buy something next year?
Well, remember, I mean, you know, getting a mortgage is based on really 4 things, 3 of which you can control. And that would be your income, your credit, and your assets. The 4th thing would be the collateral, meaning the property you're buying, but you're not going to control the market. So let's focus on the 3 things that you can control: credit, income, assets.
Well, cool, man. Look, I'm gonna cut us off here because it's like we keep talking about mortgages. It'd be so boring.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Nobody wants to talk about mortgages.
I hear you.
But dude, thank you for coming out.
Bro.
I appreciate it. And I think what we'll do is we'll put your name and contact info here.
Sure.
So if people have any questions, please feel free to reach out to Joe directly, and feel free to ask him. I think that's it. I think we're done, right? Are we done? Do you feel good about it?
I feel pretty good.
I felt pretty good about it. It was great. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. This is our first episode back in the fall. I'm very excited. We got tons of very fun episodes planned for you. And I don't know. I'm done. I'm over. I'm finished. Peace.